This is 5 Minute Feng Shui, episode 74, the coronavirus, Feng Shui tips for your home and family safety. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Hello, and how are you? Are you managing well with this whole coronavirus thing? I hope you are. For a lot of people, this is a scary time. We have a virus that was completely unanticipated and is really taking over the whole world in terms of the spread, as well as the spread of fear, worry, and so on. And that's completely expected in an epidemic. And we're all going to have to manage the best we can. But today I wanted to talk about what can you do in Feng Shui to help your family? What can you do to protect yourself from this virus? I mean, this is an unprecedented year with health concerns and worries from this virus. Now, it's called COVID-19. The coronavirus is definitely 2020's biggest disruptor, and not the good kind either. Not like a positive disruptor, something fun. Work stoppages, confinement, quarantines. These have all pretty much pulled the brake handle on life and business as usual. We all know that. We're seeing whole countries being shut down like Italy and states that are in a state of emergency. Right now, of course, it's a good idea to make sure that you follow up with the World Health Organization or the Centers for Disease Control and follow their guidelines to help ensure you and your family's safety. It's really important that you keep up with that and monitor those websites closely, because they're going to have the most up-to-date and most trustworthy advice in terms of how to handle that. Now, this is an interesting virus in that it goes directly to the lungs. And when I was working on my 2020 Year of the Rat forecast back in October, I was looking at the energies of the year, and one of the things that concerned me is from east to west, we had a variety of illness energies. And I had written about this in my annual forecast, that one of the concerns I had was breathing difficulties and lung problems. My anticipation was that it was going to be lung problems related to the flu, but it is a virus like the flu. And while I didn't name it coronavirus, I didn't know that. My crystal ball didn't type that out for me. It sure would be nice if it did. But looking back on that, at that forecast, I could see and had written about this was one of my biggest concerns. What's also interesting is how it spread, and it's the same energy that relates to the lungs is also related to the mouth, and I found that very interesting. Outside of avoiding crowds and washing your hands frequently and not touching your face, what else can you do? Let's talk about the origins of this virus from a Feng Shui perspective, because I think that that's a really interesting perspective on it. And I think it's a really interesting way to view this virus, because each year we see these changes. There's a shift of energies that occurs every Lunar New Year, which is usually around it could go anywhere from like mid-January to mid-February, somewhere in there. And this year, that date was January 25th, which is right at the time when the virus had been active for almost 6 weeks. And the annual Lunar New Year celebrations were beginning in China. And this was the time at when the lid came off finally. It's also a time when it became apparent this is not a series of pneumonia-related illnesses, but a virus that could be spread by close contact with others who had it. January 25th is also the date that was very close to the energetic beginning of the new year, which is February 4th every year. And this is a time of shifting energies. So we had this sort of swirl going on, and that's how I talk about it. Actually, what's interesting was that I was following this chronology. I was reading the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and I read it every day, and it had a whole chronology of exactly when it all started. It all started December 8th. And many times if you're a forecast, if you read my success pack, if you read my annual forecast, you'll know that I talk about how energy begins a shift. I can feel it sometimes as early as November, but December I really start to notice things start to move in the new directions of the energies that are coming in for the next year. And so December 8th was the first day that this virus had shown up. So I found that kind of interesting too. We can see these changes and shifts occurring ahead of the actual date. So one of the things I talk about is monthly Feng Shui as well. And people who buy my success pack each year, I provide new moon notices and zodiac horoscopes monthly and monthly flying star updates. And one of the things I always say is, even though, let's say the monthly update or the monthly flying star change or the energetic change for the month is, let's say, March 6th, what I find is it's usually about a week or so before that date when it really happens. And I'm a big follower and fan of Susan Miller of astrologyzone.com. Really love her work, and got a great chance to meet her this past month, or back in February, and we had an absolutely fabulous conversation. At any rate, one of the things that she always talks about is astrology can sometimes hit a week before or a week after. So let's say that there's an astrology movement or something. It's that you'll either feel it a week before or a week after. And if it's let's say it's a new moon or an eclipse, that you'll either feel that change, that shift, a month ahead of the eclipse or a month afterwards. So this is actually kind of following that same kind of concept, because actually energy is related to stars in Feng Shui. So I found that very fascinating to think about that. But the energies that make that change each year, and when that shift occurs here in February for the Feng Shui of the year, it became clear then that the coronavirus was an epidemic. And this is all that swirl that I was talking about when all the stars started moving. The old stars begin to exit and the new ones come on board. Now, when we talk about stars, we're talking about types of energy. So when I mention stars, that just means types of energy, like illness energy, fame energy, income energy, love energy, and so forth. But that's when this all begins to, the old ones from 2019 started coming out, and 2020 energies or stars were coming in. And I believe these shifts that when we moved over to 2020, were capable of magnifying the effects of the coronavirus. Now, the energies that really stood out were some of the common ones, like the worrisome 5-star. It moved to the east sector of health and family. I find it very interesting, too, that this star is responsible for a lot of problems, and that it is coming from, if we look at a world map, China's in the east, and they even have a red flag with 5 yellow stars on it. And that, to me, that was very interesting how that symbolism worked. And what we could see was that this 5-star, which is responsible for lots of problems in energy, and this 5 yellow energy really was cooking there in the east in China. There was its source. The next star that we talk about, and that we often have some focus on and worry about, is the annual 2 illness star. Now, this star, it normally doesn't create serious problems. What it can do is it can create nagging problems. So that could be like arthritis, it could be an ear infection, it could be, any kind of thing that just bugs you. It's not really lethal, it's just annoying more than anything. But the problem with this year is that the annual 2-star flew to the south. It's an earth affliction. And this earth affliction, what it did was it was magnified by being in the south in the fire sector, because fire makes earth. So after the 2-star, now this is one of those stars that we want to look after. However, I don't feel like it's really the source of the coronavirus epidemic, or or is really creating the intensity of the problem. That star, I think, is the reigning star. And that star this year is the 7-star. This star is the energy that has flown to the center sector, meaning it affects everybody, just like this virus has affected everybody. It's making its way around the world. Literally, this star has the makings of an epidemic. It's called the 7 Red Star. It flew to the center sector, so it's in the middle of every household, and it can weaken the center, which is the sector of health, wealth, and happiness in all homes. The center is like your heart sector. It's also, think about what surrounds your heart, your lungs. So this is our center sector, and we've got this 7-star, really difficult energy. And this is one of the most important areas of the house. And with the 7-star comes cutting metal energy. So this is the type of depleting energy that would just drain the center sector's health, take away the money, and also the sense of well-being and happiness. The 7-star is called the Broken Army Star. Its influence is to cut down, rob, destroy, cut off, or create violence. The 7 also rules the mouth and lungs in particular. The coronavirus is spread by droplets from coughing and sneezing from an infected person, and somebody touches it, and then it can quickly move to the lungs. So if you're near somebody or in close proximity to someone who sneezes, it's possible that who has the coronavirus, it's possible you could get it. That's one of the ways of transmission. Now, this star seemed to be destined to be the coronavirus's best friend. Its cutting quality is one of its best known malevolent qualities. And the 7-star is also called the severed fate star, meaning death, unfortunately. Lastly, and as if that wasn't all enough, the 7 is the star fear. Fear is causing the stock market to drop for panic and stockpiling of hand wipes, sanitizers, breathing masks, and other health essentials. So there's a lot of fear around metal energy. And it actually makes sense, because the 7-star is the star of small metal, not big metal like a filing cabinet, but small metal like needles, scalpels. Who likes needles and scalpels? Most of us are a little bit afraid of them, to be honest, or they're painful. It doesn't feel great to get a shot. Trust me. Last week I had 11 of them in my mouth. I had a cavity that I had to get filled, and I've known this. I have this one area in my mouth that it just refuses to deaden. So 11 shots later, boy, did I get my share of needles, and that 7-star was really working on me. But it is one of those things that it is the type of energy that we can look for. But, and interestingly, of course, the cavity, and I got 7 needles in my mouth, the 7-star. So here we go again, right? And I think of one of the really sad twists to the 7-star's energies is that it's also regarded as an isolation or imprisonment star. And with all the quarantining and all the self-removal from society and schools closing, and it just seems like a natural outcome that parallels the 7's negative qualities. Very sad about that part, but it's also a safety feature if we need it. Now, the other star that brings something to the coronavirus party is the 9-star. The 9-star flew to the west. This is the sector of the children, the mouth, and lungs. Now, the 9-star is often regarded favorably, but it's also a mutable star, which means it can flip-flop between negative and positive. So we never really want to activate it. We just kind of just let it do what it does. The 9 is a fire element star, and with its placement in the lung sector, that means fire in the lungs, which is the source of the problem with the coronavirus because of the breathing problems it presents. The bright side, so here's that mutable star. So that's the downside. The bright side is that it seems that younger people seem to be able to resist the coronavirus better than older people. So that's a blessing in some way. It gives to me, we always want to protect children. I was recently at visiting my grandparents' cemetery actually, and what was interesting is how many young children and babies headstones I saw that had died from the Spanish flu that went around in 1918, I think 1919, and it's very sad but in this way, I feel like there's a little bit more hope there, that our kids are more protected, because that's really a tragedy. So now that you know all this, you've got all this background about these stars and what they are, how they're contributing and what they are known for and how they are impacting coronavirus, let's talk about how you can use Feng Shui to protect yourself and your family. The first thing to remember is that there are 3 parts to luck in Feng Shui luck. And the first one is the luck you create. That's your personal actions. So taking positive and healthful steps like hand washing, not touching your face, avoiding large crowds, etc. is essential. And the first part of luck is all about that type of action. So there's no magic Feng Shui cure that can protect you. It can help you, but you've got to do your part. So I've got to say that. you know how we always have to make those statements that are declaring that I'm not going to say Feng Shui is going to cure coronavirus or completely protect you. You've got to do your part too. But let's get into some of the dynamics of the coronavirus and the energies that we have this year and how they're impacting it. So the first is that 7 star. The 7 star is fear. So resist fear. Metal is the element that represents fear. So that's why that 7 star is making everyone be worried and to be afraid. And it's easy to be fearful, but it's more practical to take action and be prepared. So get your home ready to handle illness and quarantining if necessary, but don't prepare to withdraw to your virus bunker completely. Stay positive, keep your faith, and resist negativity and embrace what you can do to keep your spirits up. So take time in nature to give you a sense of peace and calm. Break out the board games or the funny movies that you can do with your family. Plan on finding ways to lift your spirits. For me, I love to go out in my garden. Nothing makes me feel better than to spend time with plants and flowers and seeing things grow. It makes me feel really good when I'm doing that. That makes me happy. I also love to play board games. My husband and son and I love to play Scrabble, so we're going to be doing that. So find those things that you really enjoy. The other thing is we want to remember that fear likes dark things. So you want to lighten and brighten your home. Keeping your spirits up is part of keeping your home well lit and bright. It lifts your home's energies and it lifts yours as well. Realtors can tell you that home buyers respond very favorably to a house that is brightly lit, and realtors will often turn on all the lights in a home before showing. You don't have to turn all your lights on, but fear likes dark places. Keep the 7 from making your home into a fearful one by keeping lights on. Don't have any dark rooms. Really important to keep that light energy going bright. It helps you resist the fear and worry that just comes with that metal energy being there. Not necessarily the coronavirus, but it has its own fear, but the 7 star brings that fear as well. Another great way to manage the 7 star and the fear that comes with it, the worry that comes with it, and the potential that it can bring energy that will hurt you in your lungs and it could make you sick, is to use water images or elements and blue colors to help you manage the 7 star. So things like seashells, water images, blue colored items, those should all be placed in the center of your home. This will help to hold down that 7-star influence, and that's really what we want to do, because in my opinion, this is where the energy is coming from. It's not from the illness star, it's not from the 5 yellow, it is from the 7-star. So how do you, if you happen to have a toilet that's in the middle of your home, that's generally not the most auspicious place to have a toilet. But in this year, you are in good shape, because that will actually help you this year in a way that not having it does. So congratulations if you got a toilet in the middle of your house. Sometimes a lot of people will say, "Oh, I have a toilet here, I have a toilet there," and I always tell them, just wait, because there are times when you need a toilet, and where a toilet can actually solve problems that are created in Feng Shui. Toilets can many times put a damper on problems that flare up, and can basically flush those problems right down the toilet. So that's a good thing. All right, the other thing that we want to do, speaking of water, is to check for water leaks around your home. It's absolutely essential to protect both your health and your wealth, because these are the two things that are going together right now. People are staying home. They can't go to their job, so they may not be able to make money. And the more people are staying off the streets, the more money and energy isn't moving out in the world, and that can create problems. But in your world, having water leaks represents lost money and lost health. So do a thorough check of all pipes, sinks, hoses, and faucets. Make sure they're all watertight, and be sure to look underneath the sink, and just in case, like the kitchen sink, I used to have a sink, and it was a defective one, actually. The connections where the pipes that would, where it would drain from, never fit the actual bottom portion of the sink where it connected to the pipe, and it always would leak. And you know what? We always had money problems at this particular house until we got that faucet, or actually the whole sink. We had to have the whole sink replaced, and because like I said, it was defective. So be sure to check underneath the bathroom sinks, check underneath the kitchen sinks, check your washer and dryer connections, make sure the washer isn't leaking anywhere, there's no water getting out. Make sure that your toilet doesn't run. If your toilet is running because the flap inside is leaking, that can cause you to lose money. It's also loss of health. So definitely check this. Keeping your water systems tight and leak-free is really essential, especially now when there's a respiratory issue going on. Now, the other thing you can do is to add metal to the south corner of your home. Remember, early on in this podcast, I had talked about the 2 illness star. The sickness star has moved to the south. We want to try to keep red colors away from here. We want to avoid using candles. And instead, what we want to do to kind of drain that 2 star is to add metal objects like wind chimes or a pendulum clock, or if you've got a ceiling fan, just turn it on and leave it on all year long. Put it on super low and just let it stay on. That will be very helpful for draining that illness energy, because we want to fight this on a bunch of different fronts, right? The other thing we want to do is, here's another front. It's the east sector of health and wellness. We want to manage this. Now this year the 5 yellow is there, but because it's there, we want to do the same thing that we're doing in the south corner, because both the south and the east have an earth affliction, and that means adding metal colors there, or metal elements there. That could be a wind chime, it could be a big metal bowl, anything that you can find that's metallic and that you see prominently will help. You can also use a wind chime. You can use a ceiling fan if you have one. Like I said, you just turn it on and leave it on super low all year long. Just let it drain that energy. And my favorite is a pendulum clock. That's one with the pendulum that swings back and forth. This is a really great way to drain the energy from the 5 yellow. And this is in the east corner. Now this is your corner of health and wellness. It's also the corner of the family. So we want to keep that good and healthy, and we want to keep that 5 yellow from becoming a problem. Now, The other thing that we want to think about is adding some other alternative 7-star remedies. This is something if it appeals to you personally, then I would suggest doing it. The 7-star is often fought, or managed with images of a deity such as Christ, Buddha. In fact, there's even a Buddha that's just for illness called the Blue Medicine Buddha. It's very easy to find. They're online. They're Buddhas, and they're all blue, just like the name says. You can also put your religious shrine. If you have a home shrine, you can put it in the center sector to help manage the 7-star. Another old remedy was to add a prickly cactus plant that has thorns here. So that might be something that you want to do in your center sector, but you don't want to have a fleshy plant like a jade plant or flowers. Really what we want, flowers are okay as long as they're blue, like a big blue hydrangea, but typically you don't want to have other things like a jade plant or something like that. We really want to have those water elements. So that could be, like I said, a picture of water, blue colors. It could be images of the seashore or a lake. It could be a picture. It could be a seashell. It could be a figurine of a fish. Anything that is going to bring that water energy. If you can put a water fountain there or an aquarium there, that's also another great element to have in the center sector to hold that 7-star down. And it's good for helping you maintain happy relationships, health, and also income, because the 7-star is a cutting star, like job loss, pink slips, that kind of thing. We really want to watch for that, right? Now, the zodiac signs that really want to be extra watchful during this coronavirus include rabbits, roosters, and horses. These are the signs that are most prone to health concerns this year, and we want you to be a little extra vigilant as well. Of course, all signs need to be a little extra vigilant this year. We all do, but especially rabbits, roosters, and horses. Why? They are the signs that the rabbits have to deal with the 5 yellow. That's where it's in the east, and rabbits are east animals. Roosters are west animals with the 9-star. This is that fire in the lungs like I was talking about. And horses have the 2 illness star. So they're more susceptible to the 7-star and the problems with lungs and breathing and so forth. So this is what I want everyone to really focus on, is those particular signs. But everybody should definitely watch, because we all are dealing with the east sector health concerns, the 7th center star that we have to deal with, and the 2 in the south. So all concerns this year. Well, there you have it. This is hopefully a good review for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of 5-Minute Feng Shui, not to scare you, but to give you tips and ideas of things that you can do around your home to promote wellness, to promote health, to keep checks on income problems, like, checking those faucets. And so important, because we're all in this together, right? We absolutely are. We're all in this together, and I want to make sure you are safe and okay, and your family is too. All right, well, let me wrap this up with 3 tips for you. All right, tip number 1. Add healthful symbols around the house. That is a plant in the east. I really like 3 sticks of green lucky bamboo set in stones in a glass vase to promote health. It helps to drain the 5 yellow, and it helps to promote good health. So I really like that. That's a terrific place to add that, is in the east, to counteract that 5 yellow. I also like flowers in the southeast. There's a growth aspect of the southeast, and it's also about your money and your income. The stock market has taken an absolute beating, and this sector, it relates to your retirement savings or 401ks or stock investments. So I'd love to see you add some really nice white flowers there, or white orchids, something like that, to protect those assets. So important. Number 2 is make sure that you add water to hold down the 7-star that's in the sector. So water can be watercolors like blue colors. Water can be actual water like a tabletop fountain. It can be a symbol like a fish or a seashell. And so importantly, check those faucets and sinks for any kind of water leaks. Really key. Number 3, resist fear. Resist fear. Keep your house light and bright. Do fun things. Spend time in nature. Find things that give you joy and do them. If there's ever a time that we need to go out and just enjoy it, maybe you like the Starbucks Frappuccinos. That's one of my favorite. I love a mocha Frappuccino, and it makes me happy. And, I also like the Sonic Cherry Limeades. Oh my gosh, love those. Even something as simple as that. Do what makes you happy and keep that house light and bright. Okay, listen, I hope this was helpful for you. I really enjoy you being here, and we're all in this together, and we're all going to get through it together. Have a great day, and I will talk to you on the next episode of 5-Minute Feng Shui. Bye. Thanks for listening to 5-Minute Feng Shui today. The Year of the Rat is coming, and I want to share with you where you can find money, love, and opportunity in 2020. And it's all in my annual Feng Shui Forecast, the Success Pack. You get a full year of in-depth Feng Shui details about how to use the energy of the year for success and prosperity. That's because every year we're showered with a Roman candle of opportunities for money, abundance, love, and opportunity. You just have to know where they are. And my Year of the Rat Feng Shui Success Pack includes all the details for every house and every zodiac sign. You also get this year's lucky clothing, handbag, and wallet colors. So be sure to go to redlotusletter.com/rat for all the details on the Year of the Rat and how to make this year the year of your dreams.